सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। We continue our study shloka number 51. The next few shlokas are glory of self-effort, how our self-effort is necessary in order for us to continue on this path of the study of Vedanta. ऋणमोचनकर्तारः पितुः सन्ति सुतादयः बन्धमोचनकर्ता तु स्वस्माद् अन्यो न कश्चन. So this shloka says that Suta Adayah, son, family members, etc. Pituhu Runamochana Kartarah Santi. So children, family members are there in case if Pituhu, father, gets into debt. Runa is debt. Mochana Kartaraha, they are able to help out with the debt. They are able to fulfill the debt of father. Santi, they are able to do it. Bandha Mochana Kartatu, but the bondage of this Anantakoti Janmantar created Advaita Ajnana, Anantakoti Janmantara Avidya, which we have brought from so many past births, that bandhana, bondage created out of this ignorance, mochana karta tu swasmad anyah na kaschana, other than one's own self, nobody else can remove this avidya rupi bondage, this bondage born out of ignorance. Nobody can help us get rid of it. Even the greatest of the gurus, sannyasis, great well-wishers, there may be so many people to help us out in order for us to get a clear understanding of Vedanta. but even the best of the gurus can bless us for chitta shuddhi. But this liberation is never granted by anybody. Nobody can help out for the reduction of our bondage. Mastakanyasta bhara dehe dukkhamanye nivaryate kshudadi kruta dukkham tu vinasvena na kenachit. So, mastaka nyasta bhar adehe. Mastaka on top of the head, nyasta perched on top of the head, bharadehe, the weight that we carry on top of the head. We see in India ladies who go onto the banks of the river and they wash their clothes, and in a bucket they take, and then there is also drinking water pot and so many things they have to finish. So in the hand they are carrying something, on top of the head they are carrying something. So dukkha manye nivaryate, by the very pain created by the weight which is on top of our head, that pain can be alleviated by removing that weight from the head. Somebody can come, somebody else is there on the banks of the river, and she requests, can you please help me? And they can help in removing the weight, and then she can catch her breath before the work begins, whatnot. So removal of the weight gives temporary comfort until we put the weight back. But nonetheless, the sorrow, the pain created by putting the weight on the head, it can be alleviated by removal of it. But over here, kshud adi, kruta dukkham tu, kshud is hunger. Adi meaning pipasa, thirst. Thirst is not mentioned over here. Kshud pipasa, we say. So, hunger and thirst, kruta dukkham, the pain created by hunger and thirst, that cannot be alleviated by somebody else eating. Vinasvena na kenachita, by one's own consumption, the hunger and thirst will not disappear. Hunger and thirst has to be alleviated by one's own self. So this example, the sorrow created by the weight, that can be alleviated by removal of the weight, but the sorrow created by hunger and thirst, without one's own consumption of food, it is not possible. So these two first shloka talked about the debt, wealth, then hunger and thirst, basic things over here is talked about. Now the next one is disease and medicine. So patyamaushadha sevacha kriyate yena rogina arogya siddhi drashtasya nanyanusthita karmana. So pathya meaning diet. If somebody has sugar issues, so then you eat properly, get rid of sugar. So diet is prescribed, that increase protein content, remove carbohydrates, etc. So that is called pathya, the diet list that the doctor suggests. Aushadha, and on top of that, medicine. So sevacha, seva meaning the consumption of or following the instructions. Seva literally following the instructions. So the worship of this, making sure that diet is taken care of, medicine is taken care of. So yena rogina, by which a person who has this disease, proper diet and proper sevanam of aushadha, it removes the disease. But arogya siddhi drushta asya na anya anushtita karmana. But anya anushtita, another person taking medicine for us, or the other next door neighbor goes to the gym every day and he does exercise, and my exercise is done just by looking at that person. It is not possible. By somebody else watching the diet, with somebody else taking care of their own health, taking medicine, they will benefit, but we will not benefit. So over here, the three examples over here, glory of self-effort. So, when we come on this path of Vedanta, we have to make sure that whatever is prescribed by Shastra, it has to be followed. If we don't follow the prescription of Shastra, Shastra talks about, Indriya Sanyam, Mano Nigraha, the control of the mind, control of the senses, control of one's own activities. All of these things make a difference. And on top of that, positively doing one's own sadhana. It could be study, it could be upasana, worship of Bhagavan, worship of God, all engaging in rituals, engaging in going to Vedanta retreats, etc., etc. All of these things, it is important that we follow the teachings of Shastra, the teachings of Guru, without which we will not be able to proceed. So these examples are over here, Shankaracharya ji, very apt examples he takes for us to make sure that we understand the importance of doing sadhana, and that alone proves beneficial to us. We continue two more shlokas very beautifully. Shankaracharya ji over here is saying, Vastu swarupam sfutabodha chakshusha svenaiva vedyam natu panditena chandra swarupam nija chakshushaiva jnatavyamanyairavagammyate kim. So Shankaracharya ji over here, very beautifully, he is saying Vastu Swarupam, the nature of an object, nature of a thing. Sfutabodha Svenaiva Sfutabodha Chakshusha. For example, I learn from a potter the art of pot making and how various objects are created from clay, and they can show me they give me the instructions of doing it. But only when I see the pot maker who has made the pot, and I go over there to his place and how he has made it, and pratyaksha praman, when I see it with my own eyes, and how he fires it in the heat to make it hard, and then again he applies glaze on it and fires it again. So there could be a utility value of the clay objects. Only when we clearly see, we appreciate the objects born out of clay. So over here, the swarup of an object, Svenaiva Sfuta Bodha Chakshusha, clearly seen by one's own eyes. Vedyam, one will come to know it. natu panditena. By over here, what is implied is the real nature of a thing can only be appreciated when one is clearly able to see it and process it, not by simply learning it, memorizing it. The application of it has to be understood. Chandra Swarupam Nija Chakshushaiva, by one's own eyes. Chandra Swarupam, the very beautiful form of a full moon. Jnatavyam Anyaihi Avagamyate kin. The one who sees a beautiful moonrise on a full moon day, only such a person appreciates the beauty and the glory of the full moon as it is rising in the horizon. Anyaihi avagamyate kim. It's a rhetorical question put over here by Shankaracharya ji. For the one who has not seen a moonrise, what will be the beauty for that person in understanding the beauty of that particular moonrise? Sometimes, we see a picture of a particular place. Like, for example, people see pictures of Niagara Falls and they very beautiful, so nice. But when we actually go to Niagara Falls, we are rendered speechless. That experience of being absolutely speechless and the thundering sound of water as it falls down into the Niagara River, no matter how many years or decades go by, we have a vivid picture in that mind. So no picture can create that experience which the eye sees, the ear hears, and the entire mist which rises from that horseshoe area of the Niagara Falls, and that mist, when the wind blows towards it and we are covered with that mist, that entire experience of it being felt on the skin, the thundering sound of the water, and the absolute grandeur when the eye sees and it cannot fathom the beauty of this nature. For a person who has not seen Niagara Falls, Shankaracharya ji says, Anyaihi avagamyate kim. Other person who has not experienced it, what will be their appreciation of it? So, basically, Brahman, over here this panditaihi panditena, it is talked about. Just the panditya of Shastra is not enough. Knowing scriptures, that is not enough. We can, by the blessings of Bhagavan, blessings of our Purvakruta karma, we can have good memory, we can have the bhagya of learning. But unless and until we put it into practice and live the glory of Atma Vidya and make an honest attempt to cross the ocean of avidya, this knowledge of Atman doesn't serve any purpose. The whole idea of Shastra Adhyanan, the whole idea of Guru Vakya Shravanam is to make sure that we fulfill the duty of being a proper student by, after listening, following it up with Mananam and Nididhyasan. that alone internalizes the concepts of Vedanta, clears out doubts, and clearly the mind intellect complex is able to abide in proper vivek, proper vairagya is generated after examination, and upasana clears a silence of that mind where the knowledge of the self can dawn. In this way, Vastu Swarupam Sfutabodha Chakshusha, the internal Chakshu, Jnana Chakshu, has to clearly see over here Vastu Swarupam. So Jnana Chakshu sees this Atma Swarup. That becomes the Vastu on the inside. And when they clearly come to abide in it, and they see what the Upanishads have declared, Isha, Kena, Katha, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitriya, Taitriya, etc. All of these Upanishad studies the person has done and is now clearly able to see the glory of the self over here. Only that person who has seen this Atma Swarup clearly will be able to understand. Otherwise, it will be difficult. Continuing, avidya kama karmadi pashabandham vimochitum na shaknuyad vinatmanam kalpakoti shatairapi. So, the Upanishad says that bidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva shamshayaha. We find this Mundaka Upanishad, etc., where we find this, that hridaya granthi. And when this hridaya granthi is removed, vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva shamshayaha. When all doubts are cleared, that is when the Atma Vastu dawns within the realm of Jnana Chakshu. So what is the hridaya granthi? So over here, the three knots of the heart are talked about, and the three knots of the heart are avidya, kam, and karma. Avidya, ignorance. Ignorance generated kamana, desires. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman sarvan parthamanogatan, etc. All of these, sankalpat sanjayate kamaha. So that's very sankalpa shakti, which is the rudimentary cause for all desires. I see an object in advertisement. Before I saw that advertisement, that object did not exist in my mind. But after seeing the advertisement, a subtle sankalpa rises. It would be nice to have it. And then all of a sudden, that sankalpa is revisited by the mind, and the mind says, yes, I want to have it. That kamana over here is talked about when I say I want it, or when I say I don't want it. So avidya, kam, and because of that kamana, desire, the desires push us into the pluralistic world for further actions, and that is karma. So avidya, ajnana janita Sankalpa created desires, created some vasanas, and then we act upon them, and that is karma. So avidya kama karmadi pasha bandhanam, the very rope, pash rope, bandhanam, the bondage created by the tight ropes of ignorance, desire and action. Over here, kalpa koti shataihi api, in millions and billions and trillions of kalpa koti shataihi, hundreds and crores of, over here, births, it is said vimochitum kaha shaknuyat. Shankaracharya ji is putting this question that Atmanam, this for the person who is bound by avidya kama karma, this except by one's own self, how can one get rid of the bondage created by avidya kama karma? Only by one's own self one has to remove it. And if one does not remove this bondage of avidya kama karma, then over here kalpa koti shataihi api, hundreds and crores of births we may go through, it is not going to go away by itself. The desires keep on multiplying, just like 1 bacteria into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8, 8 into 16, 16 into 32 to 64, just goes on at exponential speed. In the same way, each one of our desires, this vasana is created by one thought at a time, and the sanchit karma baggage created by avidya kama karma, that I want this object, I don't want this object, I want this experience, I don't want this experience, I want this person, I don't want this person. In this way, we have created a very subtle ropes within that holds the jiva responsible for all of these ropes which it has created. The jiva is tied down, just like the silkworm takes the same silk from within and it creates a cocoon around itself, and there is no liberation for that silkworm unless it goes through a complete metamorphosis. And part of the metamorphosis, it is given a strong, sharp beak with which it can break that same silk cocoon. And the worm which goes into the cocoon is not the worm which comes out, but the worm itself transforms itself, metamorphoses itself into a completely different animal, insect, whatever you want to call it, a butterfly, and it flies away. The silk moth is such a huge butterfly, it can In the moth family, it can fly away. That silkworm, which was only perched on the mulberry tree, now is capable of flying high up into the skies, but it went through a transformation by itself. Nobody else could do it. In the same way, we, Jiva, each one of us, the individual Jiva, upon the study of Vedanta, we have to put our best foot forward in our understanding, in our living, and eradicate avidya. Every time ignorance creates a desire, we have to nip it in the bud before it blooms. So no desire, no karma. Slowly, 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 when we act upon these lofty ideals spoken about in Vedanta, we are capable of getting rid of our own Hridaya Granthis, the knots of heart. Nobody else can do it. Swami Chinmayananji, Gurudev, used to say, I am not a donkey guru. You have to carry your own weight of avidya and you have to empty it by yourself. This is a very beautiful shloka which talks about the greatness of, the self-effort which is capable of getting rid of our baggage. So, kashaknuyad. Kashaknuyad, over here, atmanam vina. Kashaknuyad atmanam vina. Without one's own self, who can remove it? So that is what is talked about, that atmanam vina avidya kama karma dipasha bandhanam kalpa koti shatairapi vimochitum kashaknuyad. Other than one's own self, who can get rid of this is what is talked about over here. So many ways it is said, na karmana, na prajaya, dhanena, tyagena, ekena, amrutatvamanashuhu. So, Vedanta, Vijnana, Sunishchitarthaha, Sannyasa Yogad, Yatayaha, Shuddha Sattvaha. Te Brahma Lokam Loke, those people who have purified themselves by Vedanta Vakya Vichar, and not by action, not by progeny, not by wealth, it is not possible. The same thing is said over here. Shankaracharya ji, Kaivalya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, all of them, this Hridaya Granthi, Kshiyante Chasya Karmani Tasmin Drishte Paravare. It is said, only when it is seen, then these three knots are dissolved. So, we continue. Knowledge of the self, the next section, 56 to 61, Gurudev has labeled that. Na yoge na sankhyena karmana no na vidyaya brahmatmaikatva bodhena moksha siddhyati nanyatha. So over here, Brahma Atma Aikatva Bodh Bodhena, by the knowledge of Jiva Brahma Aikya. The Mahavakyas are called identity revealing statements. What identity does it reveal? It reveals Jiva Brahma Aikya. That is what is Mahavakya. Brahma Atma Ekatva Bodhena. This is the Mahavakyas of Upanishads. Prajnanam Brahma. This consciousness is Brahman. Ayam Atma Brahma. This Atma is Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. You know, the main Mahavakyas, that thou art, Tattvamasi, etc. They reveal our identity, that I am that. That bodh, that knowledge, over here it is said, mokshaha siddhyati na anyatha. That Jiva Brahma Aikya bodh alone, moksha siddhyati. It reveals to us, it delivers to us moksha. The siddhi of moksha is delivered by this knowledge, na anyatha, and not by anything else. Na yogena, na sankhyena, na karmana, na vidyaya. So over here, na yogena, we can engage in so many yogic practices. Ashtanga yoga is there, and you know, nowadays so many people have just coined yogas. But yoga marg na sankhyena, the study of the Sankhya philosophy, karmana, and by the Jaimini Maharshi Ji's karma philosophy, the philosophy of karma. Karma Siddhant is also there. So they say that by karma one can reach great, not in Advaita Vedanta. So not by karmana, and certainly not by vidyaya. Now we may think, what is this vidyaya knowledge? But over here it is the lower vidya. What is the lower vidya? Upasana. So not by upasana, because we learn about a particular upasana, and when we engage in that upasana, it is still a karma. And upasana yaha phalam, the fruit of upasana is chitta shuddhi, chitta ekagrata. All of this we can acquire through upasana, but definitely not, we will not be able to realize the self. So na yogena, na sankhyena, na karmana, no, na vidyaya, and definitely not by upasana. Brahma Atma Ekatva Bodhena moksha siddhyati. Moksha can only be attained by Jiva Brahma Aikya. See, Vedanta reveals we are that. Vedanta reveals it because we already are that. Because we already are that, at no point in time we are away from Brahman. It is a mental confusion that I am bound. Not only am I bound, I am a bound poor jiva. and I am bound by the conditions of the body, conditions of the antakarana, and conditions of my karan sharira, which has given me this unique prarabdha, and I am bound by all of these. It is a notion. And if it is a notional problem, the only way that problem can be eradicated is by removing the notion. The one who, having landed and arrived in New Delhi, even after the announcement is made by the pilot, welcome to Delhi, you are now in Delhi. But in my mind, I have still not given up the notion that I am in New York. What can the pilot do? What can our own kith and kin do? When we are already there and we don't want to accept the fact that we are there, the problem is not physical, the problem is mental. Major mental issues. There is only one solution, and that is to seek a help of a doctor who can alleviate the amnesia of mind. That is all. So, not by yoga, not by Sankhya, not by karma, not by upasana, we are already Brahman. This is Sfuta Gnyan should rise. And that is Brahma Atma Ekatva Bodhena Moksha Siddhyati. Na anyatha. Nanyaf Pantha Vidyate Anaya. Purusha Suktam says, Mundak Upanishad says, so many. There is no other path. Nanyaf Pantha Vimukte Anaya. Not known. Yamadharmaraj declares this. Everybody, that there is no other path other than accepting that I am Brahman. But the notion created issues that I am the body, I am a man, I am a woman, Alpagnya, Alpabuddhiman, Alpashaktiman. All of this we have owned up with my body. What can I do? I don't have the strength, etc., etc., etc. All of these notions born out of upadhi, we consider them to be real, then it is not possible. So that is the beauty of this knowledge that we have to realize by ourselves. This is very beautifully talked about over here. Veenaya Rupa Saundaryam Tantri Vadana Saushthavam Prajaranjana Matram Tat Nasam Rajyaya Kalpate. Shankaracharya ji, just what beautiful, similes he comes up with. Nobody would even think about something like this. So what he's saying, Veenayaha Rupa Saundaryam, if you've seen a veena, it's such a beautiful instrument. The veena is a musical instrument of goddess of knowledge, goddess of wisdom, Mother Saraswati, Shardamba, and it is such a beautiful string instrument, not easy to play. It requires great number of years of mastery to get one raga properly on this instrument. So the beauty of the instrument itself, the Tantri Vadana Saushtavam, and the proficiency of the person who is pulling these chords of veena and is able to produce beautiful music out of this instrument. What is it for? Praja Ranjana Matratat. It is only for the sake of pleasing people. In an orchestra, somebody plays veena, only the ones who appreciate veena, they go to a concert. If a person has never heard about veena, has never heard about the person's greatness who is playing this, or has no interest in it. That's why we even have a Laukik saying in various bhashas, Bhains ke aage beena bajai, such a beautiful instrument, and you play this in front of a buffalo. What? The buffalo is only looking for a puddle of dirty water to wallow in. You can play as much veena in front of a buffalo. It is just eyes closed, chewing the cud, the flies flying around it. Nothing matters. Bas, dirty water it has found, and that's it. So, Prajaranjana Matra. So, the whole veena is for the sake of playing. The person who is playing, obviously they are uplifted, they also enjoy it, and playing a kacheri, others are also uplifted in that kacheri when this veena is played. But samrajyaya na kalpate. But playing veena is not for acquisitions of some distant land or conferring a full sovereignty over some kingdom or something. Veena playing is not for that. It's for Atma Sukha and Prajaranjana Matra, bas, nothing else. So, if we study Shastra, let's say we study Shastra, and we are able to give beautiful pravachans and whatnot, people will appreciate it. And the person who has studied appreciates. But if it is left at the level of study and they have not owned it up, it means nothing. It does nothing. So this example of veena over here is very beautifully put over here, that it is for the sole purpose of uplifting one's own self, uplifting people, but a notion that by playing veena I'll be able to capture a kingdom, not possible. So the limitations of what we can do, this was the limitation of karma. This karma of playing veena, such a beautiful talent, manoranjan, for the sake of pleasing one's own self, for the sake of praja ranjan, for the sake of uplifting others around who appreciate a very delicate instrument being played in such a manner. What a beautiful example. But with that, one is not able to reach the padvi of Atma Jnana. That is in its own place. Vagvaikhari shabdajari shastra vyakhyan kaushalam vaidushyam vidusham tadvad bhuktaye natu muktaye. So what is talked about over here, that over here, Vag Vaikhari, a very eloquent, loud speech, Shabda Jari, and the stream of words which come out of an erudite scholar who has studied Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam, who is capable of giving Anugraha Bhashyas on Shastra. They take Shastra, a particular topic, and are able to shed light on that particular topic, and very beautifully, in lucid language, anybody can understand. Complex ideas of Shastra are taken in a very beautiful language, in simple language, eloquence, fluency in speech, etc. It is that Vaidushyam Vidusham Tadvad, that person, the erudite scholar Vaidushyam, Vidusham of the learned people, they will appreciate. Wow, this person knows Shastra so well. Only a learned person will be able to understand and appreciate a learned person's scholarliness. But what is all this for? It says bhuktaye natu muktaye. They will get maybe a gold medal, or they will get a first prize in great speech, debate, this, that, etc. Bhuktaye, for the sake of enjoyment, natu muktaye, but they will never be liberated by this. This is so important that we take scriptures, we internalize these concepts, and we learn, we put our best effort to learn them. Following the instructions of Shastra, following the instructions of Guru, that alone delivers us absolute knowledge, delivers to us knowledge without any doubt. When our own listening is followed up by reflection on it, mananam, nididhyasan, meditating upon it, a clear knowledge dawns in our own mind, intellect complex, that I alone am. I, the Jiva, am nothing less than Sarva Vyapaka Vishnu. From the standpoint of this body, Upadhi, I am a Jiva. And Bhagavan, from the standpoint of the Upadhi of universe, he is Sarva Vyapakatvat Vishnu. But we remove the Upadhi of all pervading, and we remove the Upadhi of this Jiva, Jivatva, and pure awareness of the Jiva is pure awareness of Brahman, of Vishnu. That alone is Mukti. Everything else, Bhuktaye, for experiencing. Brahman is not an experience. Brahman is ownership of our identity. Brahman is a noun. Enjoyment, experience is a verb. It is temporal, bound in time. A verb, action, originates in time, sustained in time, and terminates in time. That is Kriya Pad, a verb. But Sarvanam, a noun, it is existence. It is. I am. I am. This is what is talked about as Muktaye. The liberated one knows. I am. Otherwise, the person is caught up in Vak Vaikhari Shabda Jari, Shastra Vyakhyana Kaushalam, Vaidushyam Vidusham Tadvata Bhuktaye Natu Muktaye. So, beautiful, eloquent speech. All of this, for Shastra Vyakhyanam, etc., etc., somebody appreciates it. But all this is for a stage. It's a drama. But if the speaker of Brahma Vidya is one with Brahma Vidya, then knowledge will happen. This is the glory of this truth, that the speaker, when speaks from this Padvi, that person alone abides in it. We'll continue. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.